bet it's a bullet gonna get the last laugh.
A couple of hours ago at the time of recording, EVO revealed their final entrance numbers for EVO. Street Fighter is at first place with 5,265. Tekken 8 is at second place with 4,646. And then what a lot of people were noticing is how far Mortal Kombat 1 is. 7th place with 645 people entered. There is a major discussion going on right now about the current state of Mortal Kombat. This game released between Street Fighter and Tekken 8, and both of those games are doing better in terms of player numbers, in terms of entry numbers, in terms of viewership, prize money. In every metric so far, the other games are beating it out. Now, we'll have to wait until we get an update on where these games are at in terms of sales, because the last we heard, I believe all of these games were hovering around the 2, 3, 4 million range. I think Mortal Kombat may be a little bit higher, but generally these games are the same in that. So now that some more time has passed, we'll be able to see which one is really carrying over a long duration. And if I had to guess, just based off these numbers alone, I would say it's probably Street Fighter and Tekken, and Mortal Kombat's probably maybe getting carried by their DLC. Now there's two sides to this argument. Some people are saying that the game is to blame. You know, Mortal Kombat 11 was criticized very harshly. And then also Mortal Kombat 1, which is similar in gameplay, is being criticized very harshly. People feel like it's buggy, it's wonky, it's stiff. I personally don't like the combo structure of slamming the person to the ground, they pop back up, and then I don't like that kind of combo. And then also I feel like they changed around a lot of the inputs, and for me, I don't really like the forward back. I like the down down, forward forward, back back. I don't like the back forward input. So for me, the game is very like off, and I love Mortal Kombat. I played every single one, so it's hard for me to like be so detached from the franchise. But even with that being the case, even with everyone having such a disdain for Mortal Kombat 11, and you can add to that Mortal Kombat 1, I guess, the point that I always bring up is that Mortal Kombat 11 is the most successful Mortal Kombat to ever exist. The 11th best-selling game of 2019, and the 4th best-selling game on PS4 in 2019. And by 2020, the game sold 15 million copies, and no other Mortal Kombat has done that. So it makes sense why Mortal Kombat 1 is copying 11 in a lot of ways, because that game sold a lot of copies. And this is the question that I ask myself and also all of you. This game sells a lot of copies. Do the developers think that is enough of a success and the esports competitive side doesn't really matter? Or do they really want to build on the competitive scene and help their game continue to grow and live on? Because, I mean, if you look at Tekken, right? Harada, he said a lot of Tekken 7's success could be attributed to the tournament scene, how hype it was, how energetic it was. It made people want to get in on the action. And you would have to say, if Mortal Kombat's tournament scene was fun and exciting, the same would be true. So I personally don't know if they care about the tournament scene or not. Maybe them selling 15 million copies is more than enough, and a bunch of DLC is more than enough. A bunch of skins is more than enough, but I don't know. Now, also with this list, here's where the Harada part comes in. Tekken 8 is second place. That's incredible. Harada adds to this and gives us the tournament numbers for each of the past EVOs, going all the way back to 2015. And this is something that I try to highlight a lot, but with Harada's tweet, it's obvious. Going back to 2015, you have 458 people entering in. You skip all the way to where we're at now, and it's 4,600. If you go all the way back to Tekken Tag Tournament 2, Tekken 7 was in the place of Mortal Kombat, and I would say even worse. If you guys are aware of the content creator Avoiding the Puddle, aka Eris, when you hear him talk about Tag 2 and how it was in tournaments, he speaks of it as if it was like a tragedy.
And then when Tag 2 came out, I was expecting Tag 2 to be like the greatest thing that has happened to Tekken ever. And it came out and it was just fucking trash. And it took me so long, I was so blinded by how excited I was for this return to an era where everyone loves Tekken, and it never came. In fact, it came in the reverse way, where not only did everyone not like Tekken, but A lot of the people who liked Tekken up until that point stopped liking it. To summarize it, Tekken Tag 2 was too complex for no reason.
That game was like in a horrible spot. But I say all of that to say that the fact that Tekken recovered and came back so hard is incredible. It really shows you that anything is truly possible. Never give up, as Air says. Now, Harada also gives a bunch of information, just really cool insight into EVO as a whole. He starts off and says, I wonder if there was any participant numbers left somewhere for Tekken Tag 4, 5, 6 in the beginning. The numbers of participants were very small. At the time, a Japanese tournament was the biggest tournament in the world for fighting games, and Tekken always had large numbers of participants and everyone was there. This is something too, like if you followed the channel for a while, I'll mention this kind of frequently, how Tekken used to be popular in Japan, and somewhere along the 2013 to like 2018, Tekken just became unpopular. Harada says Street Fighter is more popular there. A lot of people would argue that just other games in general is more popular there. League of Legends, Overwatch, Counter-Strike, those games give out way bigger prize pools. So if you're going to dedicate your life to a video game, why not one of the biggest games with the biggest prize pool is what a lot of people say. Is that true? Maybe. We'll find out though. With Tekken having these $1 million tournaments, you talk about Esports World Cup this year, the Gamers 8 last year, the prize pool is picking up fast, which could be a reason why the numbers is also picking up. He says around 2010, when the scale of the tournament started to grow, I started to meet a little bit more developers and producers, directors. Since esports was not a buzzword yet, and most Japanese game companies were still able to recoup their profits from the domestic market, most of them were not looking at overseas markets and had not seen the global community. And this is really cool too, because, you know, around 2010, there was this kind of like separation, and you can argue there still is a separation with Russia being cut off from World Tour, China being cut off from World Tour. We know that those places not only have their own tournament scenes, but also have like really good players over there. Russia was apart for a little bit, but then war happened and they got separated. We saw how impactful Pakistan was when they showed up, so more regions being able to connect and participate would be really cool. He then goes on to talk about how before they did their announcements at the Tokyo Game Show and E3. E3 no longer exists. Tokyo Game Show, I think it's still doing its thing, but like we talked about earlier, Harada said that Tekken 8 isn't popular in Japan anymore, so Tokyo Game Show isn't the best place to do announcements anymore. And then he also says that Markman is the one who came up with the idea of doing announcements at community events like EVO and Combo Breaker and so on and so forth. And a lot of people don't really give Markman credit. That's not a name that we talk about or say a lot, but Markman, Tasty Steve, Rip, a lot of these guys you see or you may know about, they have played a huge role in building the FGC to where it is. I don't think a lot of people know that, and I don't think a lot of people give them the credit for that. They kind of just see him as like, oh, that's the commentator, oh, that's the guy who does this, but really don't understand like a lot of these guys really put in so much hard work to get these games to where there are. Harada was saying how EVO was just this thing that had like 20 players and people would just show up and just have fun, right? 20 players, 20 friends. And then from that, their passion with these games, it grew and grew and grew into something amazing. Like if you think about Moment 37, EVO Moment 37, let me pull up that clip. I want to show you guys how small the room is, how many people are in here. But this is how tournaments was back then before they blew up. You had a one little screen. Look at the tiny little screen and a dark room. No, that's what FGC used to be, and these are the guys who really like brought it to like the forefront of where it is today. So it's like I really think a lot of these guys put in so much work, and I don't really want that to be lost to time. It's like amazing history. Look at this. Look at the room. Look at the room. That's a decent sized room. I can't lie. That's a decent sized room. There's probably, if I just had to throw a number out, maybe 300, 400 people in that room. But still, in today's world, that's not even the number of Mortal Kombat players. There's 645 people showing up.
At this point, all you're doing by talking shit about Tekken Tag 2 is you're talking shit about people that liked it, which I actually do condone. So